Well, I'm going to pick up BD, because Brightdrop just sounds too dumb, from CJ at Solar Solutions. I think it's going to make a huge difference as far as like the heating and the air goes. I'm taking Mavi down there to pick it up, and we'll see what it looks like now. Holy crap, that's different. That looks good. Probably a little darker than I would have liked, but whatever. Probably won't need to wear sunglasses, but that should make a huge difference as far as like the heat goes. Well, the tinting doesn't look quite as dark when you're driving it. It's freaking pretty amazing, actually. There's a huge difference on the heat that I can feel coming in from the windshield and the sides and everything. They did a really nice job on it. So onward, onward. Hey, it's David from the Redneck Garage. I'm out here with my 2025, wow, Chevrolet Brightdrop electric van. And yeah, I love it. I've driven it probably 300 miles so far, not work related, but you know, bringing it home and driving it. I did run one call in it because it didn't take any tools, but pretty impressed with it. Now I've got to build the back of it out, taking stuff out of my Ram ProMaster van and making this into a trades van, a locksmith van basically. There's a couple things that I'm trying to achieve in this conversion of this electric van. Number one is not try to increase the weight as much as I did on the ProMaster, because it's gas and it doesn't matter. With electric, you don't want to reduce your range, you don't want to carry too much weight. It's got a 3,900 pound capacity, I believe, so I should be able to stay under that no problem. The range is another thing to think about. I don't want to take away from my main drive battery by running things in the back, so we're going to be doing solar, electrical, batteries, things like that. How does that work out? Need heat in the back and need air conditioning. So all these things I'm going to be doing to this van to make it into a work van. I haven't seen any videos of anybody using this for work vans. I've seen a bunch for like people making them into RVs and things, but this is going to be a work van, and that's going to be my conversion. And there's a lot of challenges to doing that, mainly because of the platform I'm using, this electric van, the Brightdrop. It's going to be different than any other, like a gas van. And some of the electric vans, like the Ford E-Transit, those are a conventional van with an electric motor. So those would be easier to convert. This has got some unique characteristics that we'll look at. One of the things about the Brightdrop that you'll notice if you buy one is that it's composite. This isn't metal. This is metal. This is structurally strong. This is not structurally strong. So you can't put any weight, you can't mount anything next to it. So I got to be careful about that, which is crazy. I got a bunch of crap that I've bought. I've got some ideas of how to do it. So the hardest part, I think, for me is getting started. You do have some cross members there, but they're not really super strong. So got to figure out how to mount cabinets in here, not too many cabinets. And it needs to be insulated, because I don't believe, personally, that that's going to be a great insulator of anything. And now I did that with my other van. I'll show you what it looks like. With this van, when I bought foam, covered it with headliner insulation, and it turned out really nice. So that's what I'm planning on doing. I'm going to use gray on the new van rather than the black. And I've got to figure out what to do with all this cabinetry, and the things that I don't need, not put in here, and the things that I do need, figure out how to mount it. Now you can see how I've got these Milwaukee containers in here, and it's not very efficient how I've got them stacked in there. I got some Packout shelves, and I've got some, I don't know, there's some T-bars in there somewhere that I'm going to mount one rack going up on this side over here of just Packout containers, but I still have to be able to put something to hold the shelving up, and I'm thinking wood would work well, but there's nothing straight on this van, and I'll get in that in just a little bit. Alright, I got it in. I got in my Outquip. Is that right? Outquip? Yeah, Outquip. Out-equip, I guess. Okay. air conditioner with heat. Bought it on Amazon. I'll put a link down below for that. And let's see what it looks like. This is a 12 volt AC rather than, you know, one of the 110s like the old RVs used to have. Those things you had to have a generator run. These are supposed to run off of 12 volts. It's got a battery right there. We're going to give it a shot here in a few minutes to see if I can get it hooked up. But I think this is going to be just the ticket for cooling down the back of the new service truck. Alright, here's all the crap that comes with it. Mounting studs. Part of a remote control. I don't know where the rest of it is. I guess we'll find it here in a minute. Or not. Okay. I did find the back of it, and it was pretty much smashed, the battery cover, so I may be able to take a heat gun to it and straighten it out, or maybe they'll send me another one. Who knows? But anyway, this is the bottom of it. This is the wiring. And I'm going to go ahead and hook it up to the control panel. You got 1, 2. I'm going to go ahead and hook it up to the control panel. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 connections, and it should be able to fire up. Okay, so that's the wiring basically. And then this is going to go over right here, pretending that it was inside the unit, right? Okay. So that's what it's going to look like. There's a trim ring that goes around it and a bunch of foam and crap, but for right now, I should be able to turn it on after I connect my cable. Alright, I got the power supply hooked up to my lithium-ion battery, and it's daisy chained into my Bluetti solar generator, electric generator, whatever you call it. And it should be ready to fire up. And that air is, whoo-wee, that's some cold air coming out right there. I'll get a infrared thermometer later and double check what it's coming out. I mean, the intake and exhaust really isn't hooked up, but it's warm coming out of the top. And I'm telling you, this thing is super, super quiet. Alright, I'm out here burning the midnight oil after a long day of working at the locksmith biz. I'm out here working on this thing, and I'm wanting to put the Milwaukee rack, you can see that black one right there, on this back portion of the wall. Now originally I thought I could take a rail and glue it. Didn't feel good about gluing the rail just to this because it's going to pull on that. Now you can see these studs. You could say, hey, take those nuts off, which I don't even know what size they are. I tried even loosening one and they're like some weird size, like 18.5 millimeter or something, because they're not 19 and they're not 18 and they're not a standard size. So anyway, let me show you what the roof looks like before you put it on. This is part of the roof structure here, and this is the side of the truck, and this is how they install it. So basically, this is a hollow section here that this bolts up into. So, here's what I've MacGyvered in there. I've gotten this metal rail, and I am going to glue it in there just for structural. But then I've got those two tabs that I welded on, right? But I've got the two tabs that I welded on, and I'll put a nut cert inside there and put a 1/4-inch bolt in there, because the weight's going to be pulling out. Because the weight will literally be pulling out, not down really. It'll be mostly pulling out. Now the center section here, I can put a nutsert in and bolt it, and then I'm going to put another rail on the bottom. And I think it's going to work out really, really well. That's going to be my game plan for this. Man, it's as hot as blue blazes out here. My MacGyvering, though, is coming out pretty amazing, I think. And I'll show you what I got going on, trying to turn this into a work van. I got my 2 panels up, insulation, and I've got my rails. They're glued in and hardened up. That looks really good. I used the most expensive, it's like $12 a tube, to make sure that that glued in well. And I don't think it's going anywhere. And I got one on the bottom. Then I'm going to use this. I'm going to have to use a few spacers in there. So I've got the channels. I got the channels for the boxes, and they're very substantial as far as like the bend. They're very heavy, so I think this will actually give it some structure. I got to get them ready and then get my shelving. Isn't this nice? Oh, there they are. Okay, I got to get my shelving ready to get it spaced out and bolted down. But then this one side for my Milwaukee will be done. Alright, so I got my fender washer and my carriage bolt bolted down, and I'm going to weld the head on to this fender washer. Man, that is some nasty guerrilla welding right there. My friend Jerry in Canada would go, man, that is a mess, but it will serve my purpose. So this is how I've been making these insulation panels. This is the Stika high performance insulation. 1 inch? Yeah, 1 inch. So basically I cut it down to where I need it to be. I take my 3M spray. You decide on what side. This side's not as nice. This side is flatter than those grooves, so I'll use this side. Just spray it down real good. Then spray your cloth that I cut. Just try to get a coverage all over. Set it in there. And then you just want to smooth out the front. Like that. Then spray all the edges. And I'll let it sit for a minute, tack up real good. After it tacks up good, you're just going to roll it over. And you're going to glue it on anyway, so it really doesn't matter. I use this piece of pretty much waste insulation, so it was a little short. But that's okay, once it's glued on you won't see it. And then what I do is I just trim this off. The rest of it looks pretty good. Press your sides down. There we go. Beauty. It's ready to install, and I'll show you how I put these in. First thing I do is go ahead and put my glue on. I've been using liquid nails, the heavy duty. and put my panel in. Well, I have to say that the racks turned out great. Once I got screws to put in the side of these. They're just sitting on the brackets. But I mean, this thing is substantial. And there won't be a super amount of weight on there. You know, I got key blanks and, you know, a few other things in there, but most of it's not too awful heavy. So I think those racks will be space saving, and I think they worked out great. And they're anchored really well. So one less thing. Woo-wee! I am sweating. It is so stinking humid out there and hot. It's about time for a Yingling light here in a few minutes, but I am super happy with the way those racks turned out. They took a lot of time. There was a lot of fabrication of welding brackets and trying to figure out what's going to work on there and gluing stuff up. That's one thing about this van that as further I go, the more I understand is that there's going to be nothing that's not like fabricated or made for it. You're going to have to figure out how to do it. Now the next video is going to be installing the air conditioner, and that's another fabrication from you know where, double hockey sticks, that's right. But I think it's going to turn out great. 12 volt air conditioning, the out equip for the low amount of usage that it has as far as electricity goes, I think it's going to work out amazingly well. So